Alrighty. I hope this is coming through loud and clear. I'll bring it up on my other monitors and I can watch all the questions as they come in, and we'll have this daily trade live together, hopefully. Cool. There's the chat in front of me. And we'll wait for a few to tune in. I hope everyone's having a good morning. And we're hopeful that this is finally the day we can break out of this range, whether you want to call it that pennant or that triangle. So let's just bring this up. I think we've got 30 or 40 tuning in already. Happy Saturday morning, everyone. Smash that like button and share that around. Hey, Glenn. Hey, Roberto. G'day, Graham. Thanks for tuning in, guys. And the Fed have been pumping in money into the markets. So if you haven't been following the news, let's bring up this tweet. Show this thread. So the Fed the other day, last week we asked whether or not people thought the Fed would restart QE within a month. And, funnily enough, within a week, they've started pumping money into the market. So adding liquidity through these repos is slightly different to creating money out of thin air to buy bonds. But how repos work is they basically are buying bonds or any sort of assets off collateral with the agreement to swap it again the next day, because there's not enough liquidity in the system, even though these banks are sitting on record amounts of cash and whatnot. And that's kind of something else that they're wanting to look into. And then this morning we get this news that this is going to be a regular open market operation. They're going to say that this isn't QE because that's just, it's swapped at the end of each day. But really, this stuff is a rocket fuel for Bitcoin, as we know. And yesterday we got a bit of whipsaw up and down. With all eyes on this market, we sort of peeped our head above this downtrend line, as we have on a few occasions, and everyone's got this drawn slightly differently. But yeah, we couldn't hold it up there. We had that big sell-off. Again, this is kind of something I've been talking about a lot to our members in particular, that stop hunting is going to happen. No one's really got their eyes on these markets at the moment because we've had some awesome run with altcoins. And for those that are following along today, if you want to follow along, I've moved all my trading over to FTX because of the indexes they've got here. So the altcoin index is a basket of roughly the top 10. The mid-cap index has 24 different sort of mid-cap market coins. And then the shitcoin index has got around 60 of the lower cap coins. So these indexes are a great way. If you think alts are going to fall, you can short the shitcoin index because the bad alts are going to fall the hardest. And when you think that altcoins are going to pump, you can use up to 100 times leverage on the altcoin index here. So this is my Battle Royale sub account at the moment. So you'll notice it hasn't got any funding in it. This kicks off next week. So a trading challenge where you can bet on the traders and watch us make money or lose money. And you can actually make money as well if you bet on the right person. So the other thing that people have been asking a lot about recently, which is awesome, are these Moon or Doom tokens. So if you think that altcoins are going to go up and you're not a trader, you're not comfortable with trading those futures contracts with leverage, you can just buy the Alt Moon token. It's just an ERC20 token. And if alts go up, this goes up 10 times as much. Now you have to be careful because when alts go down, it obviously goes down 10 times as much as well. And if you think altcoins are going to fall, well, you can jump on the altcoin Doom index. Or I think they've got these versions of the shitcoins as well. Yeah, they do. So bear shit and bullshit. You've got to love these names. It's pretty crazy. Oh, and the moon shit there. I can't believe I'm saying these words. These guys have got a good sense of humor. But yeah, if you think that these coins are going to fall hard, then this is the way to do it. Get exposure, doom shit, 10 times short. So if altcoins fall, this is going to fall 10 times as much an ERC20 token. But you don't want to hold these long term, like I said, because if it goes against you, you're going to lose a lot of money. So either way, let's go back and have a look at those futures. Plenty of options there, but yeah, I've been basically sticking to trading Bitcoin, Ethereum, or the altcoin index if I think that they're all going to pop at once. So let's go back over here and have a look at what's been happening since we had that sell-off. And again, we closed above, tried to get up there yesterday morning with the daily close, and we couldn't quite. But this is actually a pretty bullish candle. So a dragonfly, a doji, a hammer, whatever you want to call it. We haven't been able to get above these daily moving averages, but the fact that we haven't sold off hard either, there's been plenty of opportunities here where we could have dumped when we tried to form a bit of a bull flag here, and it didn't dump. Again, we weren't quite ready to get there yet. I think we're just letting the moving averages and everyone gather their thoughts, as I like to say, and we lost those moving averages again, but the buyers have stepped in each time. And for those asking what I've got on the chart here, this is a new indicator that I've been playing with. That's the unofficial name at the moment, but we're still in testing, I guess. So this is something I want to plan to have maybe publicly available in future. But this is something that a trader in our group developed that combines the RSI and different moving averages to show you where momentum is going. And as you can see, it's had some terrific trades lately, particularly on Ethereum. So if we zoom out a little bit, this works on all assets, on all time frames, and you sort of pick a time frame and stick to it. So if you're a swing trader, for example, we got a buy signal down here on Ethereum, and it hasn't actually told us to close that position yet. So that's a tremendous trade. And there's plenty of examples of this. Again, the ETH Bitcoin pair. And the altcoin index. So I've been using this a lot lately. It's not a crystal ball. In tightening ranges, so I'll do more videos and education on this once we've sort of done all the back testing. But as you see here, when we have a big move and then we're in tightening ranges, you want to ignore these signals. The same as any moving averages or the RSI, it becomes less accurate when we're just chopping around. But once we start to get momentum, or it's become clear that we're in a bull market, that's when you want to try and get in trades and stay in these trades. And we're thinking of calling it the journeyman. So let me know what you guys think of that name. But being able to stay in trades and know when the momentum itself is rolling over, I think is really, really important. But let's go back in. At the moment, I've changed a lot of the way that I'm looking at the charts at the moment. And I'll have a read through everyone's comments in just a second. So thanks to everyone that's tuned in, and smash that like button if you can. BitMEX has got a lot cleaner charts for the most part lately. And people have sort of been changing where they trade. So the BitMEX chart you tend to find has less wicks than Binance, or just more consistent volume. I used to like Coinbase a lot, but there's just not as much trading happening there. They've kind of turned themselves into like more of an on-ramp exchange. Bitfinex, for years, you guys know I used to trade there, and that was one of the most popular because of the good trading engine they had. But now that we've got these perpetual swaps futures contracts on FTX, and they've got a lot of liquidity and a lot of traders there, a better matching engine. Bybit is the other one that I'll do a tutorial on. If more for the beginners, it's got a really good trading interface. Binance is what it is, but personally, I don't really like that for trading. I think they kind of pin themselves to being the altcoin market. So these guys have got all your different order types as well. So, trailing stops, stop market, stop limit, take profits. Really cool different order types there. Someone asked me what all these toggles are. So immediate or cancel means that if it doesn't get filled straight away, the order gets cancelled. Post only, when you want to actually put the order into the market and let it sit there in the order book, you don't want it to get snaveled up straight away. And reduce only is when, let's say you have a buy order on, and then you're putting on a short order, a short trade. You don't want it to put on a second position. You actually want it to put it on only to reduce the size of your order, so you're not both long and short at the same time, I guess is the way to think of that. So more features to come. I really like everything these guys are doing, and there's plenty of trade volume here at the moment. So within 0.1% or less, there's normally at least $100,000 or more, which satisfies most traders' trade positions. But we're getting close to the daily close now, so about 20 minutes left. So let me know what you guys think is going to happen in the comments. But really, when we zoom out, as I've been sort of saying, that the Fed, this rocket fuel, if none of that had have happened, then I would have maybe said we were more likely to chop around because altcoins had stolen the focus. Everyone was happy that their alts were finally pumping. We saw the larger cap alts pump, as you can kind of see here. But then the last couple of days, the mid caps that were lagging really pumped and caught up. So money sort of trickled down. It reminds me of the gold mining space a little bit, where gold's had a tremendous run, but the gold miners haven't really pumped that much. Gold's actually pumping as we speak on the news that the Fed are going to continue to pump in $50 or $75 million a day for the next 2 weeks. And you know what the Fed are like, that's going to turn into an ongoing thing. So yeah, gold having a good little run this morning, and silver. But zooming out, when we have a look at something like the GDX, the Gold Miners Index, that did lag a little bit, and now it's kind of playing catch up. But when we have a look at the junior miners, GDXJ, they really didn't have that bigger move in percentage terms compared to a lot of the other larger cap miners. So that's the same for the silver junior space. People are a little bit scared because of what happened a couple of years ago. So if you were in the market back here, this was absolutely incredible at the end of 2015. The junior mining sector has pumped about 200%, 300%, and I think that the larger cap gold mining stocks did even better. So this was an absolute gold mine, pardon the pun, for Australian stocks at the time as well. A lot of those were up 300, 500%. And then it sort of crashed. It came back down, and a lot of people got burnt. A lot of that mature smart money, fund managers that lay out their money and then they get burnt, they're a bit timid. They're waiting a little bit longer to pump money in to that sort of sector, I guess, this time around. So this is the weekly chart on BitMEX with my terrible squiggles here. But all I wanted to show this video I did the other night with our members was basically that there's been a huge run up in volume, and now we're just consolidating in this little range on decreasing volume. So all this stuff is basically not perfect, but it's a pretty good pennant or bull flag, however you want to call this, back into the weekly moving averages. So unless something bad happens, technically the chances say that this does actually break to the upside. But if we get some bad news, altcoins steal the show for a little bit, we could chop around, in this range between the high we made and wherever's acting as support at the time for a little while. And the bad scenario is obviously breaking these lows we've made, breaking the moving averages. And I think that would have to take some bad news at the time, because who on earth is selling their Bitcoin at the moment with everything happening? All those fundamentals and future direction that we've been speculating on, the Fed starting QE again unofficially, with the ECB officially starting QE, all these central banks around the world dropping rates. It is just absolutely the perfect storm for Bitcoin. So I know that it's a trader-dominated market, but over the medium to long-term, fundamentals take over. So I'd love to see Bitcoin have that bull break. But if money's getting sucked out of Bitcoin into alts, as you can sort of see here on this ETH Bitcoin pair, it's had a ripping run. And if money gets sucked out of Bitcoin into alts, well, that's a scenario where Bitcoin could maybe chop sideways or go down. But yeah, would people even mind? I did a post up the other night about everyone would be happy if Bitcoin went down as long as all their alts are pumping. And yeah, sentiment got terrible towards alts, as I think you'd agree. And people saying that they've sold all their alts into Bitcoin, a lot of influencers, and then the next day alts pump. It's always the way. A lot of these guys, don't have much idea what they're talking about. They're reactive. They're commentators. They're not helping you predict what's happening next. So thanks to everyone that's tuned in. Smash that like button. Lots of good mornings. Hopefully this gives the chance for our friends over in Europe and America to tune in. Clubber Lang, did you see Forbes tweet about DAG and US Air Force partnership? good for crypto. No, I haven't seen that yet. I'll normally do my thorough news wrap up at the end of the week. So I'll just put on the 5-minute chart while I'm reading these messages for you guys to keep an eye on. Less than 15 minutes now to that daily close. Can we get up here? That's only one good 5-minute candle. There's plenty of room to run and rip through there now. Let's see if we can set up a good weekend. Nice to see a video showing that FTX features. Seems quite different than typical exchanges. Yeah, and I'll do a full tutorial for everyone, and for the more beginners, I've done a tutorial for Bybit as well. So it's good to be able to work with some good exchanges. As you guys know, we sort of held off doing any, reviews or sponsored content or anything like that because there was so much crap out there, and the BitMEX engine is not really that good. I'm sure we've all had that experience where it overloads or you can't get in or out of the trade you wanted. So these are the guys that are building better matching engines. Why wouldn't we recommend them? It's a pleasure to work with them. And one of my mates who I know and trust, an Aussie guy, has got a job at FTX. So he tells me some of the stuff they've got going on behind the scenes, which is really exciting. If you watch that interview we did. What's Backed going to do? I think something like as big as Backed is going to be a non-event, put it that way. Everyone's been talking about it for a year. I don't think anyone wakes up the next day and says, oh, wow, Back's open now. It's time to pump. Yeah, IOTA had a nice little run lately. Hash rate, great post, Nick, and I did have that slide up ready to share. So hash rate is above 100 quintillion hashes, I think, if I've pronounced that correctly. And hash rate generally leads price. So you guys can't see all of that there behind my mug, but you get the general gist. It's going up and to the right. There's a lot of people that want to mine Bitcoin, and that is going to continue to really charge into that halving event. And that means miners are going to sell less Bitcoins, because if you know that your revenue or the asset that you're going to be mining is going to halve on that general date, you want to try and smooth out that curve. You don't just want to have the money coming in just drop by half overnight. So hopefully it sort of coincides with ideally at least doubling of the Bitcoin price for these miners. But we know hash rate is going to adjust either way. Get rid of a few of these slides. One other coin I just want to mention quickly, Synthetics. So this is a coin that's still fairly unloved. It's like the second or third biggest project in the DeFi space behind Maker, and people still have never heard of it. So this is their little Aussie project called Haven that rebranded. We covered this one back here for our members at after EdCon, when I did a video and said that, look, this is one of the best two projects I saw at EdCon in Sydney. It's in DeFi, and that was at 4 cents or 7 cents, somewhere back here. And look at it now, it's up to 50 cents. So the fact that these 1,000% gains when altcoins had done nothing is still possible. People say fundamentals mean nothing. But I honestly disagree. I think fundamentals are going to mean everything as this space matures. And if you've watched the interviews we've done with the fund managers, the guys that are running venture firms, they're not chasing the next coin that's listed on Binance or the next coin that has an IEO. Speaking of that, now that Coinbase are coming out with their IEO STO model, that's probably going to hurt Binance. So Binance continue to surprise us. They're going to think of more utility for BNB whenever possible. And I know they're even doing big things here in Australia with Travel by Bit. So they're always going to be pushing the narrative. But again, I did a video for our members back here saying I think Binance have taken on too much, or they've got a finger in every pie. They've got so much market share. I think they've only got room to lose market share. So now they've had to close their doors to US customers who are responsible for 50% of their altcoin trading volumes. Now we've got competitors pop up like Bybit here. So I've been having a little muck around with here. I've done a tutorial for you guys that will be out soon. But again, these guys have got some great features that I'll run through in that for you. And FTX and other exchanges. So people are stealing market share of Binance. So that tweet yesterday, most people had Binance tipped to be the coin that makes new all-time highs first. But in some ways, it reminds me a little bit of EOS, a project that had a lot of good news at a time when a lot of other projects were struggling, and it really peaked a lot later than everything else. So that was kind of the altcoin bubble, and then EOS had that enormous run, but then something else comes along. It's this emotion cycle over and over again. So yeah, I've definitely sold some of my Binance coin. Long term, as long as alts are going up and crypto is growing, Binance are always going to do well with their token burn and everything they've got going on. But yeah, you want to try and stay ahead of the crowd and look for the new thing. So I've actually purchased some FTT token. So this is the equivalent of the Binance token for this new exchange. And some of the products these guys have got coming out, like a hash rate index, is going to allow miners to hedge the hash rate. So if the hash rate falls and they're making less money or they're less profitable mining, they're going to make money on their trade. So what this is allowing is big money. The guys with hundreds of millions of dollars, the miners are going to be coming to FTX and using that hash rate index to hedge. They're going to collect a lot of money in fees through all that. And they've got that buy, burn token mechanism. So FTT, we got a little bit in the ICO at 80 cents. They did have a really early round of 10 cents. And a lot of their founders, their tokens get unlocked for the next month. So I don't think there's any need to FOMO. I think you're probably going to be able to average in, depending on what the market does, at around this price or possibly lower. So that's all I've really been doing. I got some at 80 cents, nowhere near as much as I wanted. I've got some at $1.20. So trying to get an average price of around $1, ideally less, for long term. So you guys have got another little hidden gem there that members got in at 80 cents a little while back. Alrighty, so 8 minutes left to the daily close. Let's keep reading some of these comments. Yeah, XRP did sort of lead and ETH followed hard, and it's fairly much what I've been talking about, that the good projects are going to run really hard, and then you're going to have to pick your mid-cap and low-cap alts really well. Thoughts on Verge? There's another coin that got too much hype, and I mean, there's so many privacy coins now. What are Verge doing differently than, Beam or Grin? Ethereum's got privacy now. Litecoin's going to implement privacy. So you've got to ask yourself, well, what's my coin doing? Why are people going to get excited about it? Good question about the long shorts ratio. So this is something that I always have open as well, but I think it's become less relevant. So less people are trading on Bitfinex. 84% longs. I'd normally say that, that's way too much. We're going to have a bit of a whipsaw. But now that there's more people, again, trading on these other exchanges, and we don't have the data for that, does it really matter what the data says about these two exchanges? And we saw huge positions. A third of the longs or the shorts get closed, in one candle. So how much weight do you put in that? I don't know, probably not that much. But yeah, something to be mindful of. The Fed pumping more. Yeah, I actually think the US stock market is going to keep going higher. And I know everyone wants a stock market crash, but one of the things I've been talking about as the markets sell off into the Friday close is they were right near their record highs, 3,025 on the S&P 500. We actually want a strong stock market. So that decreases the chances of Bitcoin breaking out. I think if the stock market had broken out to new all-time highs, I think Bitcoin wants a world where everyone has got too much money and everyone's making profits. Bitcoin doesn't want these world where stocks are crashing. But yeah, I would definitely say that decreases the chances of Bitcoin breaking up in the next 10 minutes or so, 5 minutes now. Other questions? Thanks, Clubber. Appreciate what you do. Check out 0x. I saw 0x was pumping this morning. Another coin I own. Good fundamentals. IOTA pumping on the Bitcoin pair and US dollar pair. Robert Whitaker. I know that name. What's your thoughts on privacy? CZ listing Beam. They might list Grin as well. I don't think privacy coins are necessarily the best investment, because look what happened the other day. OKX became the latest exchange to just say we've got to delist all privacy coins because of those new FAFTA agreements. So privacy coins are important. Own a few if you need to act privately online. But if you didn't see the tutorial I did the other day, check out Tornado Mixer. This is a new tutorial that shows you how to act privately on Ethereum. So this stuff is coming as well. Let's open that up. Let's turn that sound off so it doesn't annoy you guys. But yeah, this is a cool little tutorial if you want to check it out, where you can behave privately on Ethereum. You can mix your coins. It uses ZK snarks, all from your ledger. So it's only in beta at the moment. But yeah, privacy is coming to Ethereum and probably to Bitcoin longer term. Hey mate, these custody services ain't insured enough for their holdings. Some ain't insured at all. I mean, in Australia, I know Independent Reserve have started to get into the insurance game, but I'm sure that they're insured for enough. Like BitGo and Lloyd's of London, they're not going to be insuring for nothing, like for a little part. They're probably going to be insured all or nothing. Bitcoin dominance has found its support over the last day or two. Yeah, I mean, it had that big fall. We tend to touch previous peaks, don't we? Let's have a look at the weekly time frame. Again, we just touched that, kissed that moving average nicely. So things don't fall down in straight lines, and it's going to be a bit of a battle. But at the moment, hey, is this just a little bull flag before Bitcoin dominance continues lower, or is Bitcoin going to assert its dominance once again if we get this talk of Fed and money printing? So ideally, if we were going to break, I would have liked us to be up here. We've got 2-3 minutes left into the daily close, so I don't think we're going to get there at the moment by the way that this is shaping up. So I'm logged into my other trading account here. Alts looking strong. Okay, there we go. So alts are actually looking strong, with Bitcoin looking weak, which is interesting. At the moment, I've got a long on the altcoin index. If you've just logged in, this is FTX. There's a link in the description below to get you guys 20% off fees and get behind the trading comp that we've got coming up. Great questions this morning. Top 3 alts on fundamentals. I mean, I still think Maker are really important. I think DeFi projects, it's the hottest space at the moment. I just mentioned synthetics, Maker. Get exposure to the DeFi space is probably something I'd say. Crypto 20 token. That is a token that gives you exposure to the top 20. Yep. Yeah, Loki, little Aussie project that have been killing it lately. So this is one, again, that we covered a long time ago for you guys. We actually took part in their ICO as well. And they are starting to get recognized. So it's not as high as I thought it was. I thought that one was a lot closer to all-time highs. But anyway, that's had a terrific run from 11, 12 cents, bang, up to 50 cents this week. Awesome. So they are sort of a fork of Monero, but privacy is becoming more and more important these days. Alrighty, what have we got? 15 seconds until the daily close. Yeah, I see the good alts surpassing their all-time highs in Bitcoin value. Power Ledger team, yeah, I've been hoping to have them back on soon. But I want more to talk about. I want to talk about their asset germination stuff. Alrighty, so that's the next daily candle. And we want to get above. We want to get above here, guys, or it's not going to be a good 24 hours. So as I said, I think the odds are that we don't pump at the moment. I think the odds are that we spend some more time in this range, and that's probably good for altcoins this weekend. It would mean alts are more likely to have another pump. So the bulls and the bears battling it out. There's a rule that I've heard that the majority of the move happens in the minority of the time. So when this daily candle opens, the bulls and bears often fight it out. So each morning I do a daily update for members, half an hour or an hour after that daily candle closes, because it gives me a lot better ability to predict what's going to happen in the next 24 hours. And lately, we've had some fantastic trades and accurate predictions, because a lot of the time when the rest of the world goes to bed and we're just waking up in Australia, there's less people bullying the market around whales, and you can sort of have some good intraday trades with the trend. So if we're going to be in a range, you can trade those ranges and whatnot. Here's a question. The deterioration of wealth due to inflation with the existing fiat currency and even physical gold mining increasing supply is beneficial for the economy as it stimulates spending. Well, I think the whole question is, with what central banks are doing, is why should people be punished for saving? Like, when did the government get to decide that they're going to punish savers, particularly people in retirement? We've got a demographic of baby boomers about to retire, and they were relying on being able to get 5% or even 3% on an interest rate in their bank account because they've saved their a few $100,000, or the old target used to be $1 million, because then you can pull out $50,000 a year just in interest and live. If you've retired at 65 and you're planning on living to 85 these days, which a lot of people do, you need 20 years worth of money, whereas a lot of people now don't have any money. They're living paycheck to paycheck. Other countries don't have superannuation, in the same structure as Australians do. A lot of people have got money tied up in property. Are they going to want to sell that property and downgrade? There's lots of demographic issues or headwinds facing the economy and governments for the first time. And I think we're going to end up like Japan, where the central bank just came in and printed money and bought up all the ETFs. And I've been doing a lot of posts for our members lately about fundamentals are out the window. As long as the Fed keep printing money and lowering interest rates, value investors like Roger Montgomery and funds are finding it really hard at the moment. And some of the smartest people in the world, Jeff Bezos has just sold a lot of his Amazon stock. The Overstock CEO just sold a lot of his. Byrne, the name escapes me. So let me know in the comments below. Patrick Byrne, there we go. Sorry, guys. Those FTX indexes are not anywhere else. No, that's why I think they've become such a good exchange and why they're going to continue to grow. A lot of people still haven't heard of them. They've got a lot of whales and OTC dealers, so that's how they've got good liquidity already. I say privacy is becoming more important, but privacy coins I didn't say they're a bad idea. I don't think they're the best investment, because I see more and more exchanges delisting them, like we've seen a lot recently. So how do coins go up in value? It's when more retail investors put more money into them. So some of the top tier coins like Zcash that are on a lot of places like Coinbase, yeah, maybe they're going to benefit, but it's all about the community. Do you see the community growing for your privacy coin and the use cases versus having them on exchanges where these FAFTA rules are coming in and exchanges are getting pressured to delist privacy coins? I just think that's a huge risk if you're viewing them as just an investment. Let me know if you think that's wrong. How can a deflationary system like Bitcoin work in the economy if everyone is incentivized to spend nothing? You're not incentivized to spend nothing. You can still spend money on your goods and services, but what is not fair is if you decide to save, or if you're saving up for a house, and every year inflation's reported at 2 or 3%, it's actually closer to 7 or 8%, and you're losing 7 or 8% every year. You're trying to save for your first house. It takes you 7 years to save, and in that time you've lost 70 or 80% through inflation. It's just insane that people are punishing savers, and you're forcing people into risky assets like stocks and bonds with negative yields, all because central banks, their system hasn't worked. G'day from Buenos Aires. G'day, Daniel. So even if someone has $10, that's all they can afford. If that person in a developing country can park $10 and then the rest of the country experiences hyperinflation for the next year or two, that $10 might have turned into $100 or $1,000 because of hyperinflation in their local currency. And then they can go and afford food for a year for their family. So Bitcoin is the place where people can park their money to avoid fiat systems devaluing. The US Fed is banned from buying stocks directly, but yeah, they're definitely going to change that. Can't give Bitcoin away in Argentina. I'm not sure what you mean. That people don't have wallets. Thoughts on Link? Yeah, I like Oracles. It's had a good pullback. I'm more interested in Link now. I avoided it when it was the flavor of the month and getting hyped like it tends to happen. Nano versus Lightning Network. Well, Nano is an awesome technology, but there's a lot of competition now with things like Hashgraph and faster transaction times and lower fees. But why are people ever going to hold the coin in the meantime as a store of value? That's the issue I see. Inflation is actually 7 or 8% a year. How come? So go to shadowstats.com and look at the work of John Williams, where he actually looks at a basket of goods. And our stock market managers, if they don't get 7 or 8% a year, they feel that they're underperforming and losing value. So when your bottle of Coke goes from 660 mils down to a 375 mil can, and now they've got 200 mil cans, that's just shrinkflation. It's silent inflation because the actual price of Coca-Cola has been going up 7 or 8% a year, but they're trying to hide that. Yeah, no cash soon as well. That's right. Trying to ban cash once we get deeply negative interest rates. Store of value doesn't imply profits, it implies store of value. Yeah, but comparatively around you over time, you're probably going to be more profitable or better off than. That's why people are parking money in gold. A lot of the wealthy people, if you saw the interview I did yesterday with Paul from Ainsley Bullion, a lot of people aren't buying gold to get rich. Now, there's the guys out there that say that gold's going to 5,000, 10,000 ounce, and maybe it is long term. But for someone that's accumulated, let's say, $10 million of wealth, and they're worried about bail-ins in their country, or they're worried about banks in Europe not being stable, they're worried about the stock market being overvalued, they're not really parking their money, $10 million in gold, because they think it's going to the moon. They're parking it just to protect it from everything else that's happening around them. So in that scenario, then yes, you might make some money, but it's more about protecting your wealth. And that's where the market cap of gold is going to swell massively because of how much money and assets are out there that might want protecting. And the same goes for Bitcoin. And we're starting off at a far smaller market cap, so the percentage gains are far better. Alrighty, so we haven't really got that move that we wanted. I just don't think we have the gutso to get that bull break just yet. So if I was a betting man, I would say that we are likely to chop around here for a little while longer until there's maybe some more momentum, or let's see if we can creep up here. But yeah, that's the scenario where I think we're more likely to break it. If we can creep up here and then burst through. But at the moment, we're looking like we're just shying away from that downtrend line, because it looks like alts are going to be the focus again for the weekend. And in the past, you guys know that we have seen some hysterical alt seasons over the weekend trading sessions when there's lighter volume, Sundays and that kind of thing. So I'll talk to you guys again on Sunday in our weekly video. There's a link below if you want to have a play around with FTX or their leveraged tokens as well. But yeah, that should get you some discount on fees, and happy trading, guys. Thanks to everyone for tuning in, and I will talk to you again soon. Cheers.